making an impact this week. History in the Sunshine State. Same-sex marriages are taking place across Florida. We've got reaction from the first couple to say I do, plus the impact the gay weddings could have on our economy.
This is NBC 6 Impact, and I'm your host, Jackie Nespro. Now on Impact, same-sex couples are rushing to wed across South Florida. A couple from Key West that had the first legal breakthrough also had the first gay wedding in Monroe County.
Overwhelming. There must be 300-400 people here, if not more. I'm like, the poor boy's shaking and crying here. My husband's shaking and crying.
The landmark ruling is having a major impact on South Florida's LGBT community. The Catholic Church and other religious groups across our state are not in favor of the changes.
According to the courts, marriage is only about the mutual gratification of two adults and nothing more. And this redefinition of marriage augurs ill for society in the future, especially for the understanding of a family.
Same-sex marriages are also expected to be good news for Florida's economy thanks to more destination weddings. And joining me now, the first same-sex couple to marry in Miami-Dade, Kathy Pareto and Carla Arguello. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you for having us.
And also Mayor Gary Resnick, whose city is home to the largest LGBT population, actually the second largest in the country. Is that right, Mayor?
Per capita, right.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Kathy and Carla, congratulations.
Thank you.
On your wedding.
Thank you.
First of all, you guys not only were the first in Miami-Dade County, but in the state of Florida, first same-sex couple to wed.
Yes.
How does it feel?
Well, we're finally coming down from the cloud of the last couple of days, or we were just in heaven. I mean, it was a monumental day. We were very excited. It was a very tough year leading up to that point, and full of emotions, but we're elated to finally be married after 15 years together.
15 years together, and the judge in your case was actually the judge that married you,
yeah,
right?
That's right, Judge Zabel.
You weren't expecting it?
No.
We were not. So when they said that she would marry us, it was just icing on the cake.
It has been a struggle, hasn't it?
It has. You know, we didn't even know if she would lift her stay that day. We knew for sure by Tuesday we'd be able to marry, but we went with the off chance she might decide to lift her stay. We took our little off-white dresses and we're ready to be wed that day. And when we found out it was Judge Zabel, it was just so much better.
Let's talk about another important person in this marriage,
Yes.
which is your son, Enzo.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because you adopted Enzo.
Correct.
And how did that work?
Well, we have been planning to become parents for a couple of years ago. A couple of years. So Kathy and I decided, you know, we're going to pursue the adoption route. So we hired a private attorney, and he found a birth mother that was willing to make us moms.
Yes.
But what's interesting is that you had to wait, Kathy, actually, to be able to adopt him,
That's right. Yes, because in the state of Florida, we were unable to adopt as a couple because we were not even recognized back then as a union. So Carla was the first to have legal guardianship and subsequently adoption, and then there was a waiting period until I could have any rights over my own son.
Mayor Resnick, let's talk about your community. As we mentioned, it's the second largest per capita in the country of gay couples and gay population in Wilton Manors. How do you feel about the ruling?
Well, thrilled, actually. So many of our constituents and us on the commission have been active in this fight for many, many years, and we've been leading the charge to overturn Florida's ban on recognizing same-sex marriages. So we're thrilled that it's finally through, and thrilled for our constituents that can now have their relationships recognized the same as everybody else's.
Have you heard from your constituents? I imagine that they're in a celebratory mood.
Actually, a lot have contacted me asking if I could marry them, which legally I cannot, but the city is planning on doing something to accommodate the residents who do want to get married.
Let's talk about the economic impact this could have, not only on Wilton Manors, but in the state of Florida. What do you think? What kind of an impact?
Well, it's people don't realize, but the GLBT tourism industry in Florida, and in South Florida in particular, is huge. It's over $1.5 billion in just South Florida. And now to add the marriage industry to that is just going to be huge. In New York City alone, for example, in the very first year that New York allowed gay marriages, there was a $280 million economic impact to just New York City, and $16 million of that was tax revenue for the city. So it's going to be a tremendous economic impact for Wilton Manors, for South Florida, and actually all over the state. Orlando is expected to have a tremendous economic boom from this as well.
As a matter of fact, in the 10 most populous cities in the state of Florida, over 1,000 marriage licenses have already been issued. That's a big number.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they're saying that, according to one study that we've seen, they've indicated that they anticipate 25,000 same-sex couples getting married the first year.
Carla and Kathy, let's talk about benefits, because we briefly touched upon adoption. But what other type of benefits? I know you both work. What does this mean now that you are a married couple?
Well, for starters, I mean, there are over 1,400 instances in which the word marriage equates to some level of protection or benefit under federal or state law. One of the ones that now we would be able to qualify for would be each other's Social Security benefits in the event one of us should pass. So, you know, for us, it was a function of not just economic equality, but dignity and recognition that our family is just as good and just as equal and deserving of this strength of marriage as anybody else.
And also not only for you, but for your son Enzo as well.
Absolutely. There are many, many reasons why we would want to have a marriage in order to protect our family. And so we're happy that that finally was able to become a reality.
As we mentioned earlier, there's still a few groups and a few people that are against what happened.
Of course.
What message would you have for those people? You have an open forum now to give your message out, to maybe sway their opinion.
I would say that we're a family just like any other family, that we also believe that marriage strengthens families, and that's really what we're looking for. It hurts families like ours or other families that have children not to have the legal protections and the recognitions and the same dignity that all the same other couples that are loving and they want to be together and want to be committed to one another. So I would say to have an open mind and just get to know our family or another family similar to ours, to see that there is no difference. There is love, there's compassion, there's charity.
And it's the ultimate form of commitment. And isn't that what it's all about? That's all we're trying to do. And so we've been able to realize that through this effort and this battle, if you will, towards leveling the playing field. And so now we're assured that we have those guarantees like anybody else.
Do you feel almost like a sense of responsibility at this point because you were able to achieve what you were fighting so hard for, now to continue the fight?
To continue the fight, well, you know...
In terms of public opinion.
Sure. So I think in part, yeah, our role has been to change the hearts and minds of people. And quite frankly, people have shared with us that until they knew us as a couple, and, you know, this was sort of an outing for in many ways, in my business life. And the mail lady today that walked into my office just hugged me and cried and said, "I'm so proud of you." So I think there is a responsibility in you know, trying to show people that we're just regular folk. And I understand that there will always be differences of opinion with respect to religion and, you know, tradition, quote, what have you, but at the end of the day, it's really just about love and commitment. And so why should we be treated differently?
So love and commitment, you have one son. Are you guys planning on extending the family?
We're hopeful.
Expanding?
We are hopeful. We're hopeful. It's a little bit more challenging, but we're hopeful that we can expand the family and
that Enzo will have siblings.
Have siblings for him.
Is there going to be a big celebration now that you finally got the marriage license? Are you planning a big party to celebrate the union?
You know, we never really thought that far ahead.
No. We're going to have a small gathering at our church because we are spiritual and we do attend church regularly, and we're going to have a blessing with our pastor and probably a nice lunch or dinner with close friends and family.
Mayor, how does this make you feel when you see a successful couple like this?
Well, as you said, and as they said, love is love. And it's about time that everyone just recognize that GLBT people have the same reasons for wanting to be with somebody as everybody else, and that should be respected. And Kathy and Carla really are courageous for wanting to take on this fight and for wanting to be public about it and willing to be public about it. And they deserve thanks from the entire community for that. So I do want to recognize their courage in doing this. But there's some real practical benefits, as they mentioned, to couples being able to get married, as well as just symbolic benefits. And I think it's just going to be great for the community. Wilton Manor has thrived through our diversity, and I think as other communities realize that, they're going to thrive through their diversity as well.
Are you planning on a big celebration for the city?
We are. We felt like we had to do something, so we didn't want to jump on the bandwagon of doing something the first day or the first night, but we're planning on a giant wedding ceremony on Valentine's Day on February 14th at one of our parks. And anybody can get married. You don't have to be gay or lesbian, but anybody who has a marriage license can get married. And just have to follow the procedures. And we're hoping that we have a lot of couples that have been waiting for the opportunity to get married come take advantage of what we're planning for them. Okay. It's going to be beautiful, of course. It's going to be in Wilton Manor, so it's going to be very out there, you know, very classy, and a nice ceremony and a lot of nice decorations. So it should be a lot of fun.
Well, good luck to you, Mayor Resnick. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Kathy and Carla, once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Jackie.
Good luck to you.
We're very happy.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure.